Welcome to the Insum Insider.
Welcome to the Inside. This is the Insum Insider, your source for Oracle APEX tips, techniques, methodology, and really wherever that discussion takes us. I'm your host, Monty and Michelle, coming to you today from Houston, Texas. With me today is my good friend and member of the Insum family, Michelle Scamini. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Monty.
At the helm, keeping us on time and task, is our producer, still French-Canadian, Mark Rule. It's Thursday, June 17th, Season 2, Episode 11. And thank you for spending a piece of your afternoon with us. We're worldwide, coming to you live today on YouTube and Facebook. The Insum Insider is, of course, sponsored by Insum, thus the name. If you're doing anything at all with APEX and you need a lifeline, do like Wilson Trucking and reach out to us. We offer everything from coaching and mentoring all the way through to turnkey project management and development. Laser focused on APEX, and we have been since 2004. Michelle, it seems like forever since we've been here together. The APEX community is still reeling from the loss of our leader, Joel Coleman. In fact, this installment of the Insider was originally intended for June 3rd, which coincided with Joel's funeral. So we stood down in respect and in reverence. And today we're back, and we'll continue to do everything we can to advance his work and his tireless evangelism. Really looking forward to today's show. We're joined today by Giovani Cani, Vice President with Wilson Trucking, and we're going to discuss how they're leveraging our favorite little low-code platform. Michelle, what say we bring him on?
So Mark has already brought him on. He's on the screen with. I don't know where you're looking, Monty. You look right ahead.
I had it minimized as I was speaking extemporaneously.
Mark
How's
is paying
everybody doing
attention.
today?
Hello, guys. Good morning.
Thank you for
Giovani,
joining
nice,
us. Thank you
nice
for
to
joining
have
us.
you with us.
I'm happy to be on.
Yeah, before we get into things, one of the things we have a lot of fun with over the last 6 months or so is Two Truths and a Lie. So we're going to go with Two Truths and a Lie here, the Wilson Trucking edition. It's pretty simple. One of these is not true. Two of these are true. So if you could put in the comments, if you would identify which one you think is the lie, we'll have a lot of fun with it, and we'll allow Giovani to tell us which is which at the end of the session. So, it says, during my first co-op in IT, I was told by the manager that technology wasn't for me and I should change my career path. I wish somebody would have told me that too. I am fluent in 4 languages, Portuguese, Italian, Spanish, and English. Probably should add PL SQL to that too. And I started working with Oracle Technologies back in '98 as a forms reports developer, building CRM systems. That sounds very familiar to me. So remember, one of those is not true. 2 of those are true. So put your comments in there, identifying which is which.
That's a tough one, Monty. Normally, ahead of time, I know the answer to our 2 truths and a lie. And this time, Giovani was like, no, here they are, and I will reveal on the show. I feel like I might know. I feel like participating.
There's no layups there. There are no layups there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
well, Giovani,
research.
Thank you for joining us. If you would go ahead and introduce yourself and introduce Wilson Trucking.
Yeah, sure. So I'm responsible for IT delivery for the Wilson group of companies. Within the group, we have a different range of companies, from transportation, health and wellness, waste management, and so on and so forth. So between the companies today, we're going to be talking about Wilson Truck Lines, where we've been leveraging autonomous database in APEX to be able to improve our processes. But we also use APEX for another company within the group, which is Trailcon. Over there, we're using on-prem APEX on-prem, which we manage mostly our rental leasing business within the platform. But for Wilson, for clients, basically the company is around for almost 85 years. And the core of our business is delivering packaged foods to stores across Ontario. So we've been around, as you know, for a long time, when we're always looking for improving our processes, improving our products and services to our customers, and enabling that by using technology, so that it's not only what happens on the field, but all the analytics that comes along, and how do you review what happens on the field, and how can you improve your processes to always add value to what we do.
I watched a documentary the other day that I thought was just fascinating, and it was about food going in the case of the United States, food going from the fields in California to the grocery shelves in New York, and how everything has to fall in place for that to happen. That supply chain of going from the field to the shelf. I mean, you guys are right there. You guys are instrumental in making that transaction happen, going from the field to the shelves. And any stumble along the way, and the food just does not make it to the shelf. You're dealing with things that have, shelf life as well. So you just can't make any mistakes in your business, Giovani.
Absolutely, especially because it's a 24/7, 365 days operation, and people sometimes don't realize, when you grab your product at a grocery store, all the chain that comes along to make sure the product is there, as far as the right temperature and the right timing. We have everything else has to fall in place in order for those things to happen, and systems are a big part of it, because making sure the data is available to have all the stakeholders that need to act, from coming from the supplier to distribution center to storing it, and then now delivering to the different stores across the province. So it is very challenging. But
I was gonna agree with both of you that you don't realize, when you go to the grocery store and you pick your carton of milk off the shelf, everything that was involved in the leading up to that. When we first started working with you, Chris did a great job of saying, okay, before we get into the details of what we need from you, I'd like to give you a bit of a demonstration, a bit of a presentation of what our business is and how we operate. And it was mind-blowing, all of that. You just don't realize it. So I first of all, I also very much appreciated him taking the time to explain that to us. I think very few of us really realize concretely what all is involved.
People totally take it for granted. They totally take it for granted that the products are going to be on the shelf.
Yeah, for sure. So
it's
Giovani,
not magic.
Maybe you can tell us now a little bit about the current initiatives you have going at Wilson, how you're using APEX and the autonomous. I know you did have a little bit of a presentation. We don't do too many PowerPoints on the insiders, but I think this would be a good way to share with the audience what you guys are doing at Wilson. So let me know when you're ready for me to share your screen. Yeah,
absolutely. So let me just a quick intro about this specific project. So again, the company, the group has been using Oracle technologies for the last 26, 27 years. Prior to that, we had a ERP system built in forms and reports, but with in the last 2 years, a lot of things have changed. The patterns of how people consume food and other different types of products have drastically changed, and we've been really tasked by our business partners to say, hey, we need to make sure that we have better visibility of what's happening on these distribution centers, and how can we make sure that these loads are as efficiently as possible brought to the distribution center, and then from those doors onwards, how are they delivered to the stores. So again, we're not an IT company. We're a trucking and transportation company that we really wanted to find some technology that would enable us to do that without those months and months and months of research, development, worry about all the things that come along with delivering a system like this. It is a system that's running 24/7. So as we can see here on the slide, we have for this specific project that we call it a shunt management system, 3 main distribution centers in Ontario, which is our province. We're talking about approximately 270 doors that trailers or these big 53-foot tractor trailers need to load and offload whatever goods they're taking to the stores. The count is roughly 265 stores in Ontario. I know they have more in Quebec, but this is the number that we serve here in the province. And we're talking about 600 tractor trailers. And these trailers, there's a lot of things that go along with trailers, not only the size, but the number of axles, because if you're delivering a lot of water to a given store, you need to make sure that you have enough axles so that the thing doesn't break along the way. You need to make sure these trailers have their safety inspection done, so safety is paramount for us and for our customers, of course. That is, and we also need to know where they are in the yard, so that all of a sudden we don't need to spend a lot of time looking for a load to bring to the door. Mm-hmm. And then we have the shunt drivers. So basically what shunt drivers are, these are guys that drive within the yard. And we're going to see shortly on the next screen that they basically bring the load to the door and back into the yard. So this is the high-level environment that we're tasked. And then we said, okay, we really need to understand a number of KPIs that we'll see shortly. But just so that our audience can have an idea how big the task was, this is 2 DCs or distribution centers, and then there's another one. This is probably the biggest one.
Wow! Yeah, and those are those are the trucks, those tiny little things we see.
Yeah, that we can see there. Those are the 53-foot tractor trailers that are there available to be offloaded, that they just came from the supplier, or are empty that they need to bring to the door so that they are loaded and then taken to the store.
So how are you able to keep track of where these are you using some type of geofencing in your, or is there some type of transponder or whatever it is on the trailer that allows you to know where every trailer is at any given moment?
Yeah, so we do have geofencing because each area of this yard is meant for a type of trailer. So there's areas that we're supposed to have a smaller trailer, because remember, if you go to a big center, a big city where you have all these sharp turns, you can have a long trailer. So those are mostly for deliveries on cities that are probably very dense. And then we have other ones that are used mostly for highways and cities that are not that dense. And then we have obviously refrigerated trailers, other ones are not. So all that is all controlled via geofence. And the way how we do, and that's what this project was delivered, was a yard check, a daily yard check, so that we can understand what's the location of these trailers, but not only the location, but as well as whether or not they are worthy to be brought to the door, or if there are issues, let's say a light it's not working, or a flat it's on the tire. So all those things are part of the inspection that we do on a daily basis.
Nice.
So now coming specifically about the challenge that were brought upon us by the business team, they really want to have a better way of understanding what I just said about the location of these trailers and the loads. So the current process was less than optimum. Basically, there was someone with a clipboard spending about 5 to 6 hours walking, writing the trailer number, their location. The load, if it was not sealed, they would open the door and then take a look and see what the load was. And all that was very time consuming. And as soon as they finished that, which typically was 3-4 hours later, they would scan that document and then send to DC operation team for them to know where to bring those trailers from. That was one challenge. Another one was understanding our peak times, the location of our drivers, and how long was taken from picking up a trailer from the yard, dropping off at the door, and vice versa. We really want to understand, what are their peak times? How can we reallocate our resources so they are more available at peak times and not so much available at times where perhaps not that busy. And then the third point was, how do we improve the communication between the DC, the distribution center, and these guys that are on the yard? Before we did the solution with APEX, it was what we call PPT, which is push to talk. This is radios that people talk back and forth, but often the communication get lost. There's no way for you to understand where it's supposed to be picked up from, and the whole KPI, these key performance indicators were really hard to gather because nothing was recorded. So we said, given what APEX and the cloud and OCI was able to offer for a company like ours that we have limited resources, we basically said, let's start initially playing around with Oracle Cloud, the free tier, which is what Oracle offers for you to start test driving their solutions. And because we had some knowledge about Oracle within the company, we very quickly were able to start a ATP or Oracle transaction processing instance in OCI, and then play around with some of the APEX features that would run for free on that instance to be able to see how the reports, how we would be able to collect all the data.
So what's do you have a team of DBAs working for you, Giovani?
No, and we don't. And that's why we chose to go autonomous database, because we don't need now someone to be monitoring our databases 24/7. We don't need to worry about backups because they're taking it on their own every hour or so. We no longer need to worry about security because, security you always have to be in mind, but because the connection is encrypted from end to end, it's much, the risk has been highly mitigated because, and everything else that goes along with checking your logs, so on and so forth. So, for a company like ours, it was just the right thing to do.
Yeah, honestly, that wasn't a softball question. I didn't know what your current team makeup was, but the DBAs love the autonomous database. It frees them up to do other things. And they don't have to sit there and do the mundane. So, you were saying something, Michelle?
I was not. I did find it interesting that the path to APEX that Giovani and the team started with the free tier. I think that's a great. Many people start there, don't realize how much you can actually get done using all of those free resources. So it's great that you discovered that. Obviously, you've been you're an Oracle shop, so APEX must have been sort of back of mind, I assume, that you tried that. So. No, it's an interesting path.
But to Michelle's point, I know that you guys had dabbled in the LAMP stack, and there was some other technologies that you guys had looked at, and then you ended up settling on APEX and the Oracle stack. But the visibility for APEX hasn't always been there. How did you find it? And go through that with us. How did you come to know APEX, and how did you become convinced that this was the right solution for you guys?
Yeah, so the request from the business team came around 2018, and you're right. Our first try with the solution was using a LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, and it worked well on the very beginning. But then we start realizing that for the amount of data we're capturing, for the requirement for reports that we're getting from our users, became extremely complicated to keep delivering value to the business with a technology that, for instance, if we're talking about a couple 100,000 records, the LAMP stack is not optimal. Although you can build pagination and everything else, but you can do very easily, let's say, export to Excel or CSV. You cannot allow users to hide columns, sort in different manners, create summaries. So all those things became extremely complicated and costly, to be honest, for us. And then me thinking, being in the industry for such a long time, you always think about, okay, how about a couple of years when I need to upgrade all these new frameworks to pick how things will hold. So my previous experience was, okay, now 2 years have passed, and now you have all these different frameworks that now are no longer in sync with each other because they've gone different paths. And now you are here holding the responsibility to deliver to the business because they now are used to kind of the solution, but becomes very costly, risky, and just not the thing I want to get into. So that's when we decided, me having the Oracle background, started looking around, I think 2018, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but that was just around when the OCI started to become popular.
That's right.
And then with the free tier, it just made sense for us to give it a try. So what we've done is those hundreds of thousands of records that we're storing in MySQL, we downloaded, uploaded through the wizards in APEX. And now the delivery team really realized that, hey, now we can allow users to do all these different things, all these charts that we can do very easily. And then they drill down that you can see, okay, I see a pie chart, I click on it, now I see all the data, and now I want to share this with external stakeholder. I can simply export to Excel. So things that we're capable to do in a matter of hours before would take us weeks or months.
Yeah. I started out doing a lot of, before I got into Oracle, I was doing a lot of Perl, and it's exactly what you said. We had to code everything, and all this is already coded for you once you get onto APEX. And also these other platforms are really, you kind of feel like they're flavor of the month kind of things, but I feel like there's stability and there's permanence in what Oracle's doing right now with APEX.
Yeah. And Giovani, what you're referring to sounds, obviously you're referring to the power of interactive reports, and just the flexibility that they offer. And Monty, I don't know if you'd agree, that's something that comes up time and time again. So when we were talking with Chuck from the Texas Racing Commission last time, that was one of the things that he just kept bringing up was, the interactive reports basically enabling the users to, to get access to their data without needing to involve IT. And so it sounds, sort of similar sort of message. Giovani, we very rudely interrupted the flow of your presentation and took you off track. So I wanted to get back to that because I know that part of that was you were going to show us some screenshots and the before and after. So maybe we can let you...
So I guess that's the exciting part of it because we see more pictures. So here I'd like to show the audience a little bit of before and after because everyone loves those. So this is before the yard check. So this is how they used to track their trailers in the yard. So basically that person would walk around and write down the trailer number, what was the content, so on and so forth. And then they would scan to the office 3-4 hours later, and then someone will write on top of it, say, okay, I think that's what it is, and so on and so forth. So remember, these are non-searchable pieces of data. There's absolutely no way you can understand, okay, what was my pattern last year? How many trailers have I had back then? How can I improve moving forward? So when we saw that, and then the back of my head, I knew that we could use interactive reports, the charts and everything else to really provide value to the business. Said, okay, that's the right thing to do. So this is the before, and now it's after. So now what we have is this Jose, our a good friend that now became my best friend, really, because now instead of him writing down trailer numbers around, we a part of the project, we delivered barcoding to all trailers, and now he uses a tablet where he can in a couple, literally 3 to 4 seconds, we did a case study, so it takes now 3 to 4 seconds to scan and enter the information, the location of the trailer, and then because everything is geofenced, this device has the geolocation where that happened. Now we can not only tell where the trailer is, but or the geofence and what's the closest door to be brought. So that has greatly improved the capture of the data. But not only that, now that data is available through an interactive report to the users in real time. So this is obviously, I do some editing here, but you see on the left interactive report with the search, the built-in search field up there, where they can search by basically any field that's on the screen. And here we're talking about 700,000 to 800,000 records. We're not talking about 100 records. So remember, anything that you do when really data intensive, APEX, there's nothing else, nothing like APEX to handle that load. The queries, of course, have been well written as well. The tables are very well designed, but with all that in place, APEX really shines. So here we show the exact time where the check happened, the DC, now the distribution center, because of the geofencing, we know that. Jose does not need to enter that information. The trailer number, the load, there's a bunch of other information that we show. And then as you double click, you see exactly what that is, where that trailer is.
So Giovani, because geofencing and geolocation is such a big part of this work, you must have been fairly excited when the new release of APEX 21.1 included significant upgrades and improvements to the map region and geolocation in general. Is that something that you've looked into? Yeah.
Absolutely. So version 21.1 released not long ago. We will now have the built-in maps. I'm looking forward to the heat map solution that we may have using to understand the busiest areas of the yard based on a date and time, and all the other features that the spatial can bring to the database. And talking about converged database, right? Being able to collect all these different types of data points within one centralized place. Because at the end of the day, the guys, the people that pay our salaries is really the business, right? We need to deliver value to be able to help. And I feel that the delivery team did an excellent job putting these screens together, being able to deliver to our own users and to our customers. So that is one, and then just quickly a few other ones. So this is now where you see a snapshot of all the different trailers and their location, and this is happens to be a Google Maps plugin that builds right into APEX. And again, this was built a couple of years ago. Probably if I was building this now, I'd be using the built-in, but we do plan to actually convert this into the built-in maps feature. And then the KPIs, right? Very easy. People understand pictures. People love pictures. We understand what our best drivers are, what our peak times are, volume based on the distribution center. So all that is there. And the best part, the part that I love it is APEX really, depending, if you really use the vanilla components of APEX, which is very powerful, really runs anywhere. So whether it's a desktop, whether it's a smart device like this tablet, or whether it's a TV as a big dashboard, it all just runs because it was built for that. So we're really, again, this is a small snapshot of what we've done with APEX in a fairly short period of time. I think this whole project, from beginning to end, took about 4 to 5 months. And we're able to deliver, and we continue delivering using the platform. I mean, we can be talking for hours now what we've been doing to really add value.
It's beautiful. It's
amazing.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much for sharing, and it's great to hear that the business has been receptive and have enjoyed that. I wanted to just call attention to, there have been a few comments, people that have been responding to the 2 truths and a lie. I will just say, and by the way, some of these people, Luc is watching.
Okay.
Luc is saying he would go with 2.5, so that was my guess as well. Martin, if you want to say hi to Martin, I know you work
Hello,
with
Martin. Yeah, absolutely.
He also is saying 2. Rich is also assuming that you speak more than 4 languages. There we go. So, you either stumped us all or, or,
I had to ask my
you.
wife to help me with this because I was a bit tough in the beginning. But you know what? If I do something, I want to make sure that it's hard enough that people really need to think about it.
Yeah.
Look for. I'll just. Yeah. Shall I put them back up quickly,
yeah.
Monty, as a reminder to people who are still around and want to hazard a guess? These are
Sure.
the 2 truths and a lie. If people want to comment in the comment section, which one of these is the lie?
The leader in the
Giovani-
clubhouse is definitely number 2 at this point.
Number 2, Giovani was told that technology wasn't for him. He should change his career path. He's fluent in 4 languages. Or he started working with Oracle back in 1998 as a forms reports developer building CRM systems.
One of those is bullshit. Let's figure out which one it is.
Oh, Plamen thinks 1 is the lie. All right, we've got a dissident in our midst. There's a question from Rutvik here. How challenging was it for your team to adapt to APEX?
Well, it was not that challenging. The reason is because number one, the community for APEX out there is amazing. I mean, there's so much resources from Oracle, from key members that help. There's so many YouTube videos and materials. So that helped us a lot. But because our team of developers, and again, we don't have many, but the few members that we have, they knew how to work with PL SQL and SQL in general. We don't have any full stack experts, so we never need. Although I know the APEX allow us to tinker with JavaScript and everything else, I feel personally that the way how you can get APEX to deliver value to its greatest is really leveraging the built-in JavaScript and everything else that comes, and just really focus on the main components like interactive grid, the charts, because you don't really want to have a developer spending hours and hours thinking, okay, should I use that color or this color? Why that font's a little bit bigger than the other one? And that's where I think it doesn't bring any value. How should I do for authentication? Should I use this or that? So we've used, with Microsoft 365 for authentication and all those things that allow our users, our developers, to really focus on bringing value to the business. So long story short, I guess, was not difficult at all for the team to.
How many developers do you have, working on these things? You said it's not a large team, but that's all relative. And also, in your position, do you still code? Do you still develop, or are you just managing your teams?
Well, I like to manage by sometimes getting deep in understanding things. So a lot of this initial work, we did some proof of concept or POCs that I myself got in and tried to understand how some of these things did. So I'm passionate about what I do, and part of that is getting some time down deeper, understanding some of these things, and then you move back out, and then you tell people how things you believe should be done based on your knowledge about the business.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know there's some things that you can talk about, some things you can't talk about, but what are some of the things that you're wanting to leverage APEX for, currently and into the future? Are there some things in your pipeline that you're wanting to take APEX in a certain direction within the company?
Absolutely. So another project that we started not long ago is migrating off old platform, Crystal Reports platform, into creating an app within our workspace in OCI, so that we can build our reporting analytics in APEX. So for that project, we'll be using mostly interactive reports. We're using the charts capabilities. We'll be using the automation components that we have, where for those that are not familiar with, basically they allow to build scheduled tasks and automations behind the scenes to move data from different databases. So we're working on that. We're really excited because we have about 150 reports that needs to be converted into this platform, but we believe that at the end of the day, you're going to be even less, because some of these 4 or 5 reports that were created now can be one, and given the user the capability of customizing as they need. So I know in previous programs, as you mentioned, people mentioned this as well, but I just love the fact that now users can self-serve without having to engage IT for small changes, such as sorting or changing a label or creating a calculated column.
Exactly. The cost associated with that is extreme. I mean, and we don't want, as developers, we don't want that report maintenance to be our life's work. You know, we want to empower the user, and there's no way that IT can, with any kind of certainty, anticipate what the business is going to want tomorrow. Let the business, create those reports from a data set that you expose. It works great.
Yeah,
and what a great the scheduling. Yeah, we just started playing with automations. They're extremely powerful. Lots of things you can do there. It sounds like it's also a great opportunity for you guys to reduce some technical debt. So going from replacing 7 reports with a single interactive report, that's also probably going to improve your simplify your architecture, your environment. So it's a good opportunity there.
Now, I want to get let me get personal for just a second, and this, don't expose the lie or the two truth, for the two truths and a lie. But I was going to ask you personally, how did you get into technology? I mean, we all have our own story, our own journey, but a lot of us really kind of fell into it. There's very few people at 5 years old said, "Dad, I want to be an IT person." I mean, it just kind of finds us sometimes. How did you get into tech?
Well, since right after coming out of high school, I was passionate about data, about how to systems can enable certain processes that otherwise wouldn't be possible. I started to actually work with Clipper and Xbase back then, DBF files and all that. That was my first really experiencing with that, and then we built some small inventory systems, the MS-DOS, and that's how I really got passionate about it. And my passion is also learning new things, helping people to do their jobs in an easier manner. And I feel that my career kind of support that goal that I have, and that's why I love what I do. I mean, I feel sometimes not a job, it's just something that I really like doing, and I can be doing 20 hours a day. Feels good. And the fact that technology changes every day feels that you never know enough, and there's always something to learn, and that really is something that drives me to be a better professional, I guess.
When you love your job, you never work a day in your life, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
There was a little question, sorry, Monty, from Bill, and I wanted to make sure I put it up on the screen. Can you use the app to create a multi-destination schedule? Don't know if that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly but let me say that the app can do basically anything that you program and prepare that app to be done. So in our case, our app specifically designed to capture the data from the field and then translate that in real time to the team from the DCs, from the back office, so that they know what to do with that information. But I would think that you could do basically anything, and a multi-schedule would be something that could be done as well.
So I think the question really is around drop shipments and that kind of stuff. Let's say the trailer leaves your yard and it needs to go 3 different locations. Do you guys have some functionality built in that would provide the optimal route and that kind of stuff? Because there's I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat, Michelle. There's Joel Coleman and one of the Oracle office hours things, the APEX office hours. They had a deal on optimizing your routes, and I think that may be the question that Bill was asking.
Okay,
I'll put it out there for you, Giovani, and everyone else. It's really interesting, and and it's involving it's almost like a brute force approach, but you're letting the computer do the work, and basically it's calculating every distance from every point in your route to every point in your route, and then it simply just takes the minimal mileage, and so by default that's going to be your optimal route. So it's a problem that Apex has a solution for, and I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there for everyone, Giovani.
Yeah, we'll link to it in the description of the video once you find that, Monty. That's great. And Bill was just confirming that. Yeah, that's what he was referring to.
Yeah, there's some things out there like I think Google Maps will do it, but there's a limit. I think it's like 10 stops. Well, that may not be the reality. The reality may be that you've got to go to 20 stores, Giovani, and so the Google Maps route optimization just would not be sufficient.
Yeah,
but we're really not limited with what Apex is going to be doing, or Apex is going to be offering. Do you support real-time cargo location tracking?
Yeah, we do. So we built as part of the suite of solutions that we built to our operations team. We do track real-time location as soon as they arrive to a certain supplier or store. Certain things get flagged, and then the TMS gets updated. So all that is there.
Is it something that physically is on the trailer, or is it wherever the handheld transponder or device is?
Yeah. So for that solution, we actually use the smartphones of drivers. So it's an app that runs where we're leveraging the capability so that as soon as we break a geofence, certain triggers happen at the same time when they leave in the store. So we always understand, what time roughly we're going to get to the next stop, and they are ready. When I say ready, making sure the door is available, the staff is ready to offload, and so on and so forth. So all that is done as part of our suite of solutions to the business. Yes.
Very interesting. Very interesting. What do you think? Let's get into the future of logistics and supply chain management, if you would. Like, everyone talks about autonomous vehicles, and everybody talks about passenger cars. Autonomous passenger cars like Teslas, and they have these modes that you can kind of take your hands off the wheel and all that. But I always thought that before we were ready for that, we would do it in the area of long haul trucking and that kind of stuff, because I know you guys
50 foot autonomous trucks going through the city before little passenger vehicles.
Maybe like point to point, like in the middle of nowhere, because that's where you bump up against government regs that say your driver can only drive 8 hours over a 24-hour period, or whatever the actual number is. And so that's where we'd be able to get away from, and also like trains, there's certain things where autonomy makes more sense before we're doing it with our passenger vehicles and all that. So what do you think is the future of logistics and supply chain management? Is it going to be autonomous trucks and trailers, and are you guys doing anything in advance of that?
Well, I think yes. I think there is a place for autonomous vehicles as far as long haul. Obviously, those are not going to be used to deliver to cities, but perhaps there is a checkpoint where you, from that point to that another 100, 200 miles from there, there's those autonomous vehicles that would be driving. We are always looking for better ways to add value to our business. And I know our ops team, they've had some conversation internally how those autonomous vehicles or tractor trailers could deliver value to what we do. But at the end of the day, obviously safety, like I said before, is paramount. We need to make sure that the regulations that are in place that support what we're trying to do. And to be honest, right now, I guess a little bit of a guess game. Perhaps in 5-10 years, when cars are more evolved as far as that being autonomous, perhaps then the focus will shift to tractor trailers. But I believe there is a place. I just don't think we're there just yet.
Yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to take my hands off the wheel and crawl in the back seat and go to sleep. That's just I'm not there yet. I may never get there.
I'm definitely not ready to see a 50-foot truck, 50-foot trailer come through my city delivering my food. I'd rather go, milk the cow or.
For sure. Well, we definitely, again, we appreciate you being able to jump on with us, Giovani, and share the success that you've had with APEX and with the autonomous database. And based on the interest and the questions and the comments, I think everyone's enjoyed the conversation. Michelle, do you want to let Giovani? Let us know
share the result of the two truths and a lie.
Absolutely. So the first one, it is true. I when I first started my first co-op, I don't know what I did. I don't remember that, but I clearly remember the person telling me, you know what, do something else. This is not for you. And I think since then, every day of my life, I said I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And I love what I do, like I said before, and then that is not a lie. That's true.
It's funny how some of these things stick with us, right? So that one person said, you probably don't even remember his name, but you're going to prove him wrong for the rest of your life, Giovani.
Yeah. I'm terrible with names, but I remember the guy names. Yes. So number 3 is also true. I started with Oracle back in 1998, building CRM systems, and that whatever I learned there went with me, because we're always into CRM is in a day-to-day life as well. It's better serve our customers and collect data. So that's part. I love it. Now, I do not speak 4 languages. Although my name is Italian, I do not speak Italian. I speak Portuguese, English, and Spanish. But I thought it would be interesting, given my name, people may think that that's true. I just didn't say French because you guys will know I don't speak French.
I think people assumed you spoke more than 4 languages. There we go.
No. Other than PL SQL, then perhaps.
There you go.
Well, I would have said number 1, because I too thought that you spoke multiple languages, and the timeline of you starting with forms and reports back in '98, that was certainly plausible. So I would have swung and missed with this one too.
That's fun.
Giovani, it's been such a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all the great things you guys are doing with APEX and Autonomous Database. Also, thank you for trusting us to help you with this journey. I know that you work with Luc and Adrian. We had Martin on the line. I don't know if Gino was in the audience at all, but we're so pleased to be able to accompany you and support you on this, and look forward to seeing more exciting things from Wilson Truck Lines in the future. And look, Luc is saying thank you. Hi, Luc. Monty, as we wrap up, we should probably let folks know this was the last episode of The Insider for this season. We're going to take a break. Hopefully everyone agrees, a well-deserved break for the summer. And we're
building our fall lineup right now. So if there's a topic you'd like for us to consider in the fall, hit me up, and we'll see if we can get that onto the schedule. We want to follow the demand here, and from what we're seeing, people like these conversations. They like to get into Giovani's head and figure out, the decision process, how you got to build these solutions, how you decided on APEX. And so we're going to continue to provide it. We're going to continue to follow the demand. So let us know what you'd like to see from us in the fall.
And that's it for us. Everybody have a great summer. Stay safe. If you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, get vaccinated. It looks like we can finally start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Here, we're still getting some thank yous. I wanted to make sure you saw those before we danced on out of here, as Monty says.
Well, let's do it. Let's cue the music. Let's dance on out of here. And Giovani, we hope you've appreciated being here with us on the inside.
Oh, thank you very much.
Bye, Thanks. Everyone. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Insum Insider.